So let's take a look here at certain times when you can lay down some big hands given the particular scenario. So here we have 3 million won antes, and Tom Dwan is going to limp in with pocket jacks from under the gun. Pocket jacks is one of those hands that's sort of in between. Sometimes it can be limp re-raised, sometimes it can be limp called, and sometimes it can be limp folded. Wang Zhou to his immediate left picks up pocket kings, and that's very unfortunate for Dwan. But then it gets over to Tom Dwan, who only has 70 million won left, so he's in a situation where it's a very easy all-in for him with ace-king. And now Dwan has to realize that he's up against two strong hands. The thing about Tom Dwan's shove is that it's extremely unlikely it would get through both players. He has very little chance to win the pot by just taking it down pre-flop, because it's only 25 antes, so this is a shove with basically no fold equity. That should indicate that he has an exceptionally strong hand, and Dwan makes the correct laydown here with pocket jacks from up front. We're going to take a look at another Tom Dwan spot with 3 million won antes. So this one is going to get limped around, and this is very similar to a lot of short deck scenarios, so the ranges are going to be fairly wide. There's going to be a lot of hands out there, and we're going to see it four ways, and the board comes out Queen, Jack, 6, Rainbow. So you can see that Tom Dwan actually has the second best hand against Wang Zhou's ace-queen. Dwan checks from under the gun, and Zhou bets 20 million. It gets back around to Dwan, he's going to make the call. The turn is a 6, which is a pretty big blank, and it puts a backdoor flush draw out there. Dwan checks again, but Zhou's going to fire, and when you look at this board, Dwan makes a really good laydown because he's not beating Queen-Jack, he's not beating Ace-Queen, he ties with King-Queen. Yes, there is some possibility that Zhou might have a hand like King 10 or 9-10 of clubs, but with the shortness of the deck, Dwan realizes that his hand equity is not going to be good against most of the hands that Wang Zhou bets twice, and he looks very smart and makes a nice laydown. So in this hand here from Jeju 2019, it's going to start with Paul Foy limping in from the hijack. Dwan also limps with King 10 in the cutoff, and Kuznetsov, true teller, just checks his option on the button, so it's a three-way pot with a 3 million won ante. You can see here that Paul Foy flops the nuts. Now this is the interesting nature of short deck. Tom Dwan here has top pair, but when Paul Foy comes out and bets into two people, Dwan has to worry about true teller behind him, and he can't make this call. When you strip the deck of the small cards and when you see a flop like this, more hands are going to connect with this board. It's also important to realize that Dwan could continue here with some hands that are actually worse than King 10, but have a better chance of improving to a stronger hand. Like he may continue with Jack 10, 9-10, Queen 10, King 10, or Ace 10 with a backdoor flush draw. You can see here that all of those hands have better equity than a bare King 10 versus a stronger range. Foy most likely has a minimum of a pair and a straight draw, and it's very easy for him to have two pair. He can also have some sets. And what a great laydown by Tom Dwan, recognizing the fact that he's not closing the action and that he can't call with a player behind him. So in this hand we see a couple of limps, and Tom Dwan's going to pick up pocket aces in the cutoff. It looks like a perfect steal spot, and he's playing 82 antes effective, and he's going to raise it up to 33 million. Paul Foy is going to be the one person that's going to give him some action here with a call. And the pot's going to be 87 million won going to the flop. And you can see that Paul Foy flops top two pair, but similar to the last hand, because the deck is short and there's so many pair plus straight draws that can run so close in equity, Dwan decides to check it back, as he's behind to 9-10, Queen 10, King Jack, Jack 8, Queen 9, and some sets. Also, by allowing a card to come off, the equities change drastically on the turn, and he can then decide if he wants to put money in the pot. If he bet the flop and got raised, he would be in a very awkward spot due to the connectivity of the board. The turn here is a pretty innocent card in the form of a 6, although it brings in the 7-8 draw, and now when Paul Foy comes out and bets close to pot size, Dwan figures his aces and one pair can't be good on this board. Another thing to note is that once again, Dwan would rather have hands here that have a better chance to improve to something stronger. Like for example Queen Jack or even Pocket Kings because of the extra gut shot straight outs. You can see that Pocket Aces only has 29% equity versus Queen 10, and other hands that aren't as strong now have better equity. Dwan once again makes the right laydown, and this is due to the fact that the board hits the limp caller's holding so strong.